Wow. So much flavor. So today for our empanadas, we are using an analog. So we are making some ground beef, but of course we're not using beef. We are going to be using walnuts today and lentils. Now to soften up our walnuts, I've just had them soaking in some water. Now you can do this overnight, or I just put some hot water in there and left them aside for a couple of hours. I'm just going to drain off that water, and you just want to discard that, or you can put it on your plants. And we're going to get those going into a food processor. I'm just using my mini one today, which came with my immersion blender, which I find is great for just smaller quantities, much easier to clean too. And we're going to grind our walnuts into like a ground beef consistency. Okay, so I've ground it quite well, quite fine, because I don't want to have any hard bits of the nut. We want it to be, it kind of gets this nice fluffy consistency, and I'm going to transfer that into a larger bowl. So as you can see, it's this kind of texture. And now we're going to go and grind our lentils. Now I'm just using some boiled green lentils or brown lentils, and I got these ones from a can, so I just strained them and rinsed them. You can also cook your own, I'll leave that up to you. And I'm going to pulse these until we get like a meat-like consistency as well. We don't want it to be a puree, but we don't want it to look like a lentil either. I also have some extra virgin olive oil for a little bit of fat. Okay, so that's nicely mixed together. Now we're going to put our spices in there, but I like to grind them all. We're using some mushroom bouillon, and I've used about half a cube for this recipe, along with some garlic powder, some onion powder. We have some sweet paprika. And all of these spices are spices that are typical that you will see paired with beef, and some black pepper. And we're just going to mix that together. Okay, and just add to your vegan beef. And just mix everything well. Now at this stage you want to taste it for seasoning. Just make sure it's got enough salt and pepper. Yep, that's perfect. So in our large saucepan here, we're going to add a little bit of olive oil, about a tablespoon or two, some red onion, and you want to saute that for a couple of minutes until it becomes translucent. Okay, it's been a few minutes. We're going to go ahead and add our crushed garlic and just saute for about a minute or so, just until it's nice and fragrant. Then we have some small diced potatoes, and I have taken the peel off as well. And they are raw. I also have some diced red pepper and green pepper. Now we want to cook this for about 5 minutes. So it's been about 5 minutes. We're going to add the remaining ingredients. So I have some tomato paste, along with some herbs and spices. So we're using some oregano. I have some hot paprika and some cumin, and some apple cider vinegar to balance out the sweetness. Now I'm just adding my vegan beef, which we made earlier from our walnuts and lentils. Now we just want to adjust the seasoning, so just give it a taste at this stage as well with everything together. I think it needs just a tiny bit more salt. And I'm going to put a little bit of, slightly more pepper, just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to transfer this into a larger tray so it can cool down faster. So we just want some more surface area so it's going to cool down a lot faster. We want to make sure that it's completely cooled down to room temperature before we put them inside our pastry. So we've just put some cling wrap to contact. I'm going to set that aside until it's cooled down to room temperature. You could also prepare this filling a day ahead of time and leave it in the fridge until you're ready to use it. So today we're making an olive oil pastry crust, and it's super easy to make, all made from simple, nutritious ingredients. So to get started, So our olive oil pastry has had plenty of time to rest. We're now going to portion them into the sizes that we want to use for our empanadas. Now for our empanadas today, I'm doing more of a snack size, an individual snack size. So we're going to go with 55 grams per portion. Now with each portion, you just want to squish it all together and just pop it into a ball. And we're just going to cover it up again in that cling wrap just so it doesn't dry out. Now today I'm using one of these gyoza or empanada molds. You don't have to use one of these, but the size that I'm using for the 55 grams is 12 centimeters. So I'm going to use that today and show you how to do it. You can, of course, do all of it by hand as well. So I've just got my ball of dough and we're going to roll it out into a 2 millimeter thickness. Now you can do this by eye or you can use some rolling guides. And you always want to start in the center and then work your way out so you keep a nice circle shape. If the dough is starting to stick to your bench, you can add a little bit of oil or a light dusting of flour. Now inside your form, it's important that you put a little bit of oil just so things don't stick. So I'm just putting a little bit more of that olive oil, and then we can put our pastry inside. And just kind of carefully guide it into that pocket into the center. And now we can put our filling in. So I'm using about a quarter of a cup, or maybe a little bit less, like a scant quarter cup. And we're going to get that going in the middle of our pastry and just press that down. Now we're going to carefully close and just pinch it, and it should cut that extra pastry off the edge off too. Okay, there we go, that's better. If you need to trim a little bit more, you can use your pizza cutter. Then you have that beautiful, it looks like a sunrise for our empanada. So I'm starting another tray. So again, we just have a nice big tray, some baking paper underneath or silicone mat, and then if you do have it your air mat, just make sure you grease it lightly, and we're going to put onto our tray. The other one that I made earlier, I left it standing upright. I think I kind of like the look of them standing upright like that. And they would look lovely in a display case for people to admire. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my empanadas, roll that dough out. So now that we have all of our beautiful empanadas all formed, we can brush these over with a vegan egg wash. And all our egg wash is some plant milk. So we want essentially 10 parts plant milk to 1 part liquid sweetener, and I am using some maple syrup today. I'm just doing this by eye. It's just like a little touch of the syrup. And you just want to brush that over all of your empanadas. So now that's all done, we want to put in a few holes. You can use a fork, or I'm just using a toothpick just to make sure that any steam can escape. Okay, now these are going to go into our oven. I have it preheated at 180 degrees Celsius. I'm going to put them in for 20 minutes, and then we're going to check on them and see if we need to add some more time to our oven. Depending on the size that you make, is always going to be dependent on how long you bake them. If you don't want to bake them right now, you can also freeze them and then bake them straight from frozen. So keep in mind the adjustment in your baking time. You will need a little bit more time if you're baking them from frozen, but we're just going to keep an eye on them, put them in for 20 minutes and then check. So there we have it, guys. That is our Spanish empanadas with the walnut and lentil beef inside, completely plant-based of course. And don't they look fantastic? They're completely baked, made with that olive oil crust. So they're super healthy as well as delicious. Now let's take a look inside. So we have this beautiful crispy crust. Now let's take a look inside. And as you can see, we've got that beautiful walnut beef inside, speckled with the red peppers, green peppers, and potatoes. Let's give it a try. Mmm. Wow. So much flavor. And that olive oil pastry is so delicate and delicious. So why don't you give it a try, guys? That was our Spanish empanadas. Traditionally, empanadas come in so many different flavors, so I'd love to see at home what different flavors you come up with. And yeah, give this one a try. And that's our Spanish empanadas with walnut and lentil beef with all of those beautiful vegetables. Take care. Oh look, we have a visitor. You want to say hello, Bandit? This is the Academy cat. Did you smell those empanadas? Did you think that they were tasty? We're even fooling the kitties here of Naxos. See, he already wants some. What do you reckon? What do you think of the empanada? He's certainly curious, but I think I'm going to have this one myself. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care.